Perfect. Well, we're a couple of minutes in, so we've got a number of people in the lobby so far. So I guess we'll kick off and get started. So welcome everybody who's joined us so far. Our session today is all around AESSEAL's project that we helped them deliver last year. It's called Data Speed Revolution, and it's how Qlik Replicate has helped them cut SAP data transfers by almost 99%, which is obviously a phenomenal number, and we'll get into the details shortly. Today's session will run for around 40 minutes. We do encourage everybody to get involved. Please ask questions. There is a chat panel, and I'll go through some housekeeping shortly. Everyone who has joined the session, you are on mute, so please do use the chat panel. There's a Q&A session at the end. If any of the questions that come up throughout today's session are relevant and we can sort of break at that point and intervene, then I will sort of jump on and we'll ask those questions as we go through. And today's session is going to be recorded and shared afterwards. So if you wish to share this with any colleagues or senior managers in your business, whoever you think may be interested to see today's topic, then please feel free to share that link when you get it. So for anyone who doesn't know me so already, my name's Alex. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Climber UK. I'll be the host, and obviously I'll introduce everybody and sort of navigate us through the session today. Kat, if you could jump to the next slide, please. So just a super high level, this isn't a sales meeting, so this is more around a customer case study, but we were founded in 2007. We're a Qlik Elite partner, and we have sort of offices across Europe. I knew that was going to jump across. We're a full end-to-end, so we help with data integration, data modeling, data warehousing, hosting environments, and also the end product is obviously visualization. We do have sort of 5 pillars that we operate within. If you could go forward for me, Kat. Thank you very much. So these are the 5 pillars. So strategic advisory is where we understand the investments you've made in the systems and your architecture already. Solution development is sort of looking at where we can plug the gaps or utilize the investment that you've already made and sort of build out a more modern data stack or a more modern solution. User training, we offer training on multiple platforms, and that's through our Climber Academy, which are all sort of trainer-led development courses. Infrastructure services is where we can actually host environments for customers while we're in the sort of process of transitioning them from on-prem to cloud. And then we also have what we call expert services, which is our dedicated managed support desk, where you can sort of raise tickets and there's SLAs, and we can look after things like patching, license allocation, upgrades, anything to do with the sort of maintenance and management of Qlik servers or your BI environment. We can cover that sort of full end-to-end piece. So if you could go next slide for me, Kat, please. Thank you. And then a quick intro to the guys who are joining me today. So we've got Stuart Welsh, who's the Group IT Director at AESSEAL. Stuart's been working with AESSEAL in their sort of technology strategy and operations for well over a decade. He's got extensive experience around digital transformation, business change, and he sort of plays a real key role in ensuring the company remains sort of at the forefront of innovation and making sure that the business sort of has that sort of operational excellence. But he'll definitely go into a really in-depth sort of overview of the solution, the problems that AESSEAL faced, and obviously what the outcome was and what we achieved together. So, and then also Tom from Climber is our senior BI consultant. So Tom's been sort of specializing in the Qlik platform for, again, probably well over a decade, maybe a bit longer. That's around sort of BI, visualization, analytics. And then more recently, Tom's taken a lead in our sort of data integration practice. So all around CDC, ingesting data in the most optimized way, building data pipelines and everything to do with landing the data and making sure that the data is sort of good quality before we start to then build analytics and dashboards on it. So just quickly on the agenda, so Stuart's going to run us through the case study, which is just all around Qlik Replicate, which was the solution that was implemented for AESSEAL. Tom will then sort of give us a bit of a demonstration on Qlik Talent Cloud around the sort of automation and sort of scalability in action, and a live sort of demo on that. And then at the end of the session, we'll save a bit of time for a Q&A just to ask if there's any sort of interest around sort of the solution and sort of any problems and things like that you might have in your business. So Just before we hand over to Stuart and jump into the sort of really interesting stuff, but I'm just going to quickly raise a poll just to try and find out a bit around sort of what's the challenges within your business around data integration. I mean, we speak to businesses of all sizes, and depending on where they're at in their journey, some have too many data sources and they struggle to bring them together in one place. Slow performance of data, lack of automation, poor data quality, and then also it's another one around the resource. Have you got the actual right people in the business, data engineers to know how to bring all that stuff together? So we'll just give it a couple more seconds. Half of you have voted so far, so if we can get a couple more votes on that, and then we'll shut that down, and then we'll jump straight into Stuart's section. Seems to be a lot of poor data quality. So perfect. If I could hand over to Stuart, and then Kat, if you could be so kind to navigate. Thanks ever so much. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Alex. Good afternoon, everybody. Alex has already introduced me. My name is Stuart Welsh. I'm the Group IT Director at AESSEAL. Actually, slightly longer in the role than Alex hinted. It's nearly 20 years now, but time flies when you're having fun. So if we could get onto my first slide, please, Kat. Thank you. Just a very quick introduction to AES, because we're not exactly a household name. AESSEAL is a brand within the AES Engineering Limited company. We've been around for nearly 50 years now, and although we're a global business, we're actually headquartered in Rotherham, South Yorkshire, where we're the design authority, the engineering authority. The global head office is based out of Rotherham, and it's indeed our largest single site in the group. In terms of stats, round numbers, 290 million turnover, just over 2,000 employees in 200 and something locations around the world. So we really are a global business. And what we do is we provide reliability services and improvements. And we do that in two ways, through a traditional product business. So we design, manufacture, sell, repair, service products, physical, tangible things, and we then have a professional services layer that we also apply in conjunction with that product set. If you could spin on, please, Kat. So typically, the product side of the business is the longest standing business. Is what we were originally founded to do, and we make a range of products which are commonly known as mechanical seals. So this is the modern day equivalent of the engineer's oily rag. These products are put into any piece of rotating equipment. So typically pumps, motors, mixers, agitators, and they scale in size from something which is just a few inches across all the way up to seals which are in excess of a meter in diameter, weigh 500 kilograms, and actually precision to our product offering, which we provide around the world. Next one, please, Kat. We have a range of professional services that we deliver, which are multi-based reliability services, understanding and helping customers run their process better. So understanding how pumps work, what is the optimum condition for a pump to work, what is the optimum condition for motors to run in, but also increasingly then starting to gather data about the condition of those pieces of rotating equipment. So we have a range of vibration sensors that are constantly polling data, capturing that data back to our central diagnostic center in Warrington. And we are looking for the holy grail, which is, can we predict when a piece of equipment is likely to show signs of failure, so that we can be proactive and prevent that failure, but not be overly reliant on preventative maintenance. So predictive maintenance rather than preventative. Next slide, please. And our customer base is, as I've kind of already suggested, is any industry where you have rotating equipment. Um, so a few examples on the slide, but if our target audience is as our sales engineers are traveling around the world, they're looking for the big chimney stacks that indicate there's a process, because if you've got a process plant, there will be rotating equipment, pumps, motors, and so on, and that is very much our target market. So enough of the company spiel. I'll put my selfish IT hat on now, if I may, with the next slide, please. So just to put in context, we, as a global business, we're on a journey to roll out SAP S/4HANA. I don't know if anybody else on the call has had experience of S/4HANA or SAP generally. I'll declare now we absolutely love it. It's been transformationary, revolutionary for us as a global business. We started our adventure with SAP back in 2019 when we first went live with the UK business. And at that time, SAP was very much the minority business within the group. We had in place at that time QlikView. We were lovers and fans of QlikView, pulling data in from a number of different ERP sources into we called it our Oracle data warehouse. It's a traditional Oracle database. And SAP in 2019 was very much we only had one instance of SAP. This is pre our global rollout. So back then we were using QlikView. We knew that QlikView was being, I'm not entirely sure what the correct marketing term is. I don't want to upset the Qlik marketing police, but was being replaced, upgraded, superseded by QlikSense. Our partner that we were using at the time wasn't really leading us down that journey. We knew it was a direction of travel that was inevitable. And it was back then when we started seriously working with Climber on a QlikView to QlikSense migration, and that is now complete. And typical uses of Qlik within the AES group are, I guess, fairly traditional, as you would expect. Lots of sales analysis, by geography, by industry, by product, by customer, you name it. We want to dashboard and analyze our sales analysis and our order book by those metrics. We're also a large manufacturing business, particularly in the UK, the US, and India. Huge investment in CNC machining tools, and therefore a significant amount of drive to understand overall effectiveness and efficiency of that process. And again, we've used and worked in collaboration with Climber to help expand our understanding of the applications and also give us some insight and ideas as to how we can better use the tools available to us. Thanks, Kat. So back in 2019, when we first went live on SAP in the UK, we needed to incorporate the SAP data into our existing Oracle database. And so back then we took the right decision, in my opinion, that we continued with what we would perceive to be a fairly traditional ETL approach. So we're extracting data out of SAP. We're using some fairly simple methods of trying to understand what data's changed based around date created, date modified. And actually SAP's got some brilliant auditing tools in there to generate audit logs, and we're using those as the source data, extracting that data out of SAP's really quite complex data structures, transforming it into a structure which mirrored the existing database and data warehouse that we were using. So we were sort of demasking the SAP-ness of it and transferring it into an existing known structure, and then loading that information into the Oracle database, which then acted as the source of all of our QlikView and QlikSense reporting. And back in 2019, that was a fantastic decision because it meant whilst we were changing our ERP system, we didn't then have to go and change all of our BI platform. It just worked. 98% just worked. Clearly, there were some tweaks required, but the core idea of, particularly around sales analysis and OEE, actually didn't have to do a very much at all to our BI platform, because we had changed used our traditional ETL approach to pull this new ERP system called SAP into our overall platform. Thanks, Kat. Fast forward to where we are today. SAP is no longer or the UK is no longer the only SAP user within the group. We actually have 35, 36 businesses now running a single instance of SAP. It is very much the dominant platform. The vast majority of data that we are ingesting into our Oracle data warehouse is sourced from SAP. And so early last year, we were running our traditional ETL approach at 2 a.m. in the morning UK time. The SAP is hosted on premise. It's hosted in Rotherham. And given the volume of data and the number of entities, business entities in our application, that was taking certainly in excess of 3.5 hours most evenings. At month end, that could be up to 4.5 hours every night. And so that was starting to generate real business challenges. We are a global business. SAP is in use within the AESSEAL world 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, given the geographies that we are located in. So if we're running a overnight replication at 2 a.m. UK time, somewhere in the world, our data warehouse is out of date with the SAP reality. At least one of those businesses is out of date. And that makes any kind of reporting instantly inaccurate. We also found that as our use of SAP and the volume of SAP data increased, our accuracy of our understanding what data had changed was flawed. SAP itself ran perfectly. There were no operational issues with SAP, but our interpretation of how some of the complex data structures within SAP had changed, purely based on date time changed or audit logs, was missing data. And so we were spending an increasing amount of time trying to reconcile sales numbers from SAP against what was being reported in our QlikSense environment. And that reconciliation is not only difficult, frankly, it becomes almost impossible if your ETL is only running once a day and you know it's immediately out of date. So any kind of reconciliation was proven to be extremely difficult. And we were also at a point where we were building more and more complex transform and load functions to try and increase performance. And we ended up with thousands of lines of code in Oracle stored procedures and functions. And we knew all the time, all we were doing was increasing our level of technical debt. And this is a scenario that Alex and I first discussed. We're probably getting on for 12, 14 months ago now, Alex, I guess. And we were describing the problem, and Alex, in fairness to Alex didn't know the answer himself, but he knew he had a team of great people back at Climber, and we started a process to understand what a solution could potentially look like. Thanks, Kat. So as I say, we work with Climber and the expert team at Climber, and they introduced us to the Qlik Data Integration Platform. Understanding that, perhaps in many ways, AESSEAL, AES Engineering, we're perhaps swimming against the tide a little bit. We're running SAP on-premise. We like to be an on-premise business. It suits our finance model. We're heavily CapEx orientated. So we knew we wanted a solution that would work with our on-prem SAP infrastructure, but we also wanted the flexibility of continuing to use QlikSense and providing all of that fantastic analytics capability to users who could consume it on whichever device they needed to and wherever they were in the world. And that's why working with Climber, we were advised to review the Qlik data integration platform. And I'm a time-served cynical IT director, and the marketing information looked fantastic, but I'm very much a can we try before we buy, and can we go through and put a proof of concept in place, and can we run a real world on-prem, let's get QDI installed, let's get some data out of our SAP environment, and let's see this thing working. And that's exactly what we did. We ran a proof of concept. We fired up a server. We installed QDI. With help from Climber, it was configured. With help with our internal SAP basis team, we configured the SAP connector. We picked a handful of representative tables, mainly geared around and sales invoices, to give us a real world environment. And we ran the proof of concept for actually only a handful of days. And it was 100% successful. At which point it was a no-brainer to proceed with placing an order. And at that point, there's then an expectation that there's a whole bunch of additional professional services required to actually turn what is a proof of concept into a production-ready solution. There wasn't, because of the way in which we'd worked together. The proof of concept, actually we lifted the config, we changed it from being our quality environment, our test environment, to being our live SAP environment, run the data reloads, and we're up and running. We were literally up and running from proof of concept to production the same day. Next slide, please, Kat. So apologies, I'm at risk of duplicating what was on the next slide, but it really was that quick. We kicked it off, we installed it, we ran the config, we tested it, we went live, 5 days, end to end. We've since then expanded the solution, but again, part of the project was we like to be in control of our own destiny. Whilst we have a great support partner and an advisor in Climber, we would very much like to understand this ourselves. Done some internal, we did the internal training, and we have expanded our use of the solution ourselves, knowing that we've always got the safety net of being a speak nicely about it, to say we've made a mistake. Can you use out of a hole, please? Next slide, please, Kat. So, given where we were, an ETL process running at 2 a.m. every day, 3.75 hours average running time. Everybody, well, at least one business is out of date, data errors. Where are we today? Our ETL runs every 30 minutes, and it takes less than 2 minutes to complete, which means actually our analytics and our dashboarding is always accurate and up to date, regardless of where we are in the world. The way in which the QDI application integrates with SAP works on a change data capture. It's much more accurate. It's actually using the inherent SAP change data capture technology, the ODQmon elements, and therefore that data capture is 100% accurate. So we've no longer got any reconciliation pains. We've got an accurate, up-to-date data warehouse. The data that's presented and transformed is partly transformed out of our SAP through Qlik data integration. So we've massively reduced our number of lines of stored procedures and functions that are required, so significantly reduced our technical debt. It's a win-win all round as far as we're concerned. Users have got more accurate data. IT and data engineers are not spending time reconciling data, and I don't have to worry about next time we need to do an SAP upgrade or an Oracle database upgrade. I don't have hundreds of thousands of lines of code to review and test. Thank you. So my summary, it's a fantastic project. We are massively enthused by it. For us, it was 100% successful. We had 100% successful proof of concept. That translated into a very robust, very resilient, very performant solution. We're feeding somewhere in the region of we've got probably 1 million product records. We've got sales analysis for 36 companies going back over the last 5 years. The data management of that is virtually zero touch on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and we get then the full value of and the full power of the Qlik Cloud environment, and all of that has been achieved by working very closely with Climber, and them understanding our business problems, and bringing practical solutions to something that we can evaluate and then deliver and generate a real business improvement. So I can't recommend it highly enough. Hence the reason why I'm quite happy to talk about it. So from my point of view, apologies if that was a little bit rushed. Hopefully you got a feel for what we've done with our project. Thank you for listening, and I'm on for the rest of the session. So if there are any questions that arise, I'll happily answer them after at the end of this session, if that's okay. But thank you.
Yeah, Stuart, thanks ever so much. It's hard not to blush sometimes when you're going through that. Although I didn't do any of the development, but I think we're going to hand over to Tom now. Kat, if you could set that up for Tom, and then obviously Tom's going to run through a bit of a demo around what's just been sort of discussed. So I'll hand over to Tom. Thank you very much. And I think we're going to turn our cameras off just because when Tom does the demo, it'll fill the screen. You'll be able to get a better view of it. So we will come back on at the end for the Q&A. Cheers.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Just before I go into the demo, I just wanted to focus on some of those benefits there, particularly the annual impact. If you do the calculations, I know it said 3¼ hours, I've worked on 4 hours, but essentially for one run a day at 4 hours, you're getting 60, it was taking 60.8 days a year of processing time, but now the new process is running 72 times a day and only taking 36.5 days of processing time a year, which is a huge saving. That's saving 24 hours of processing time, which has been saved, which I think is quite phenomenal. So what I'm going to show you now is a demonstration of Qlik Cloud, and what we're going to have a look at is a standard data pipeline. It's going to demonstrate multiple inputs and multiple data warehouses at the end. We're going to investigate a couple of transforms. We're going to see a nice feature where transforms can be shared across projects. And we're also going to create a new data mart at the end of it. So if we go through to the video, please, I'll turn my camera off as well. Okay. So first of all, we're going to see the overview of the project. So on the far left-hand side, we've got the data sources, and then it flows through the rest of the project. So we've got 2 data sources here, and then the first stage is landing. This is where the CDC actually happens. So any change that happens in the source is immediately written to these tables. And all we're seeing here, this is just the setup. You're choosing your data sources here, but at this stage, I'm just demonstrating a couple of very lightweight transformations. We just turn the dataset names to uppercase and the column names to uppercase as well. So now at this stage, anything that happens in your source system will get written to these tables at that point there. Then we move on to the onboarding stage. Oh, sorry, yes, there's just one more. This is the other data source, sorry, there's just one more table added there. And the same transforms are happening. And then we go to the onboarding. Now, this is where processes really start to happen. So anytime a change happens, it's written directly to those tables. But this is where we can schedule it. So this is how frequently you want those changes to be processed and sent through to the data mart at the end. And also you can do some very lightweight transformations here. There you can see we've just added a new column for revenue. Going back to the data pipeline, move to the transform layer. This is where the bulk of the activity happens. Crack that open so we can see on our left-hand side, all our data sources and the targets on the right. And here in the middle, this is our first transform. This is a SQL transform. And it won't surprise anyone to learn that in there we have some handwritten SQL. So if you've got any stored procedures that does a specific job, those can be transplanted in here. Now, obviously, the SQL has to match the target system, in this case, Snowflake. All we're doing here is just customer freshness. So if a customer hasn't ordered for 3 months or something, they get flagged. And then what we're going to look at, what we want, though, there's another project here, and there's a transform in this project. Now, this is a different type of transform. This is a data flow transform, which is much more visual. So you have a canvas where you drag and drop elements. So we select our data sources there, orders and order details. We select whatever components we want, like aggregate or select columns. Those are manipulated with the filters on the right-hand side. They're all joined together. And eventually at the end, we get a new output from that transformation. Also, we can see the SQL that's been generated by the system there. You can't edit that. It's just there for reference. And that gives us a new data set, in this case, order summary. And what we want this transformation, because it's very, very complicated. We don't want to replicate that work. We want that in our new project. So we've just added it here. So we select the project that contains it, select the task as a transform, and there's the order summary there. We add that to our new pipeline. And there it is on the left-hand side. It's appeared as a data set. We add it as a target, so it's available for any data warehouses. And if we have a look at our model here, so this is how we've modeled the data. So the data warehouses will be built off this model. Order summary has just been pulled in. It doesn't have any relationships, so we'll just quickly add a relationship for employee. And there we go. So that relationship is now established in the model. And we go back to the main pipeline here, and what we're going to do here, we can see the transform has been added there in that grey box. So the fact it's grey, you can't interact with it. It's from a separate pipeline. All we're doing here is we're actually creating a new data mart here. So just from the transform, we just click that ellipsis, selected new data mart. We're just giving it a name, which takes me forever to type. Take a breath. There we go. So supplementary order summary will be our new data mart, and no prizes for guessing what's going to go in there. So now we actually add the fact and dimension table. So we've already established relationships in the model, and here we're just going to replicate that for the data mart. So there's our order summary, add a dimension, which is going to be in employees, and then we consolidate the link and apply. Now that data mart is now ready to go. At this stage, all you would have to do is just click prepare, and then it's done. So if we go back to our pipeline here, so we can see the transform that's been brought in from the other project. Now, if we go and look at the original project, the parent project, if you like, we also get a key indicator here that a transform in this pipeline is now being used in another pipeline. So there's nice control there, nice sharing of effort. We'll just have a quick look at the data warehouses that we've generated. So here's a slightly more complicated one with your central fact table and your dimensions, and the supplementary order freshness. It's just very simple. It's just the order freshness and the customers. And the final one, which we've already looked at, was the order summary. And that's a brand new data mart that's just been created for us. And that concludes the demo. So if we go to the next slide, please, Kat. So just to review what we've seen there, so we've seen two pipelines in action there, both of them using multiple sources. So we've had data ingested from disparate systems. We've seen a few transformations in the SQL transformation and the transformation flow, plus a couple of very simple ones with the uppercasing of column names and table names and the creation of a new column. We've seen a relatively new feature, which is the cross-project pipelines. This obviously simplifies development, cross-team collaboration, which is a really good feature, particularly if you've got an especially complicated transform, or maybe a transform that needs to happen in stages. And then finally, we saw the creation of a brand new data warehouse, which obviously provides centralized query-ready data for different arms of the business. And thank you very much. That concludes the very quick demonstration.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Tom.
Thank you very much.
So just before we sort of wrap up and we get into the Q&A, so there's no questions currently, but I have got a question that one of my customers asked this morning. They're unfortunately unable to join, but they've asked me to highlight this because they will be watching the recording. So what they've basically asked is, what would happen if in a SEAL situation or in any sort of new implementation of QDI, if the source system was to go offline? How resilient is the pipeline, and what would potentially happen in that case?
So I can answer that. Unless, Stuart, have you had any actual real world experience of that happening?
We have,
Oh,
yes.
would you like to fill that then? I know what should happen, but perhaps you can tell us what happened.
Yeah, so it's happened twice. Once was planned and once was unplanned. So in the planned environment, because we had planned to close SAP down to apply patches. Actually, once the maintenance window had completed, we restarted SAP, restarted the SAP integration service, and the Qlik data integration just picked up from where it left off. We didn't have to do any remedial action whatsoever. In the unplanned instance, where we actually had an SAP crash, a server crash rather than an application crash, in that case, to be honest, the QDI did not automatically restart. It wasn't. It gave messages to basically say it wasn't confident enough to predict what the last record of change was. So rather than guessing, it basically halted. And in that case, I know there are a number of different ways of doing it, but actually in that case, what we ended up doing was a complete refresh of the data set and the resyncing,
Yep.
which sounds dramatic. It took less than 20 minutes.
Yeah,
And when you start the process, it takes care of itself. And once it's got the confidence that it's got the synchronized data sets, everything that just carried on as normal.
So both of those sort of scenarios have been in regards to the SAP environment rather than the QDI platform itself, and you're just being
Yeah,
alerted as and when one of those issues has arisen, as you'd expect
yeah,
with an automated platform. You'd like some sort of update or notification when things haven't worked or something's fallen over. So
yeah. And in
awesome.
fact, we've ended up turning off a lot of the logging and a lot of the notifications, frankly, because it felt like we were being spammed. Which is a good thing. I'm not that, but we'd set logging to say every time a table is updated or give us a summary of the number of changes processed, and you're getting an email every 30 minutes to say that QDI has run. It's taken 46 seconds and it's replicated the following number of records. Okay, after a few weeks, you get familiar with the fact that it's working.
Yeah,
So you
it's
turn
kind
that
of like,
off.
yeah, I know that now, and I don't need you to
Yeah,
fill my inbox up with complete every 30 minutes.
absolutely.
And then just one final question, and I think you kind of mentioned it in your slide, so apologies for sort of overgoing it. But one of the questions is, would this help reduce reliance on dev teams in regards to data requests and obviously building code, which I think you've kind of mentioned as well in terms of the reduction of time and obviously the reduction of resource. How has that sort of worked for you, and into what are those guys now doing that they've got this free time from not having to, look after all of the SQL queries and the data warehouse stuff?
Yeah, the answer to that is, does it reduce the need or the time consumed by database developers or people who know SQL or whatever? Yes, it absolutely does. What are they now doing? They're doing lots of other good things which add real value rather than maintaining lines of PL, SQL, in-stored procedures and functions.
Yep.
Yeah, it fits really nicely with the idea and the concept of, give ClickSense to users and let them drive their own analytics. We've created many more views on our data marts, either based on geography or function within the business, and empowered key users to go away and create their own business analytics applications without having to ask data scientists or data engineers or even just people who know how to write SQL. Well, what is this data? Where's it coming from? What does it actually mean? What's its context? We
Yeah.
can handle all of that in the platform, and the IT part of this can then be used to do other more complex data integration.
Yeah, perfect. So I know we've got a couple of minutes left. So Stuart, thanks ever so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to. I know obviously I've been through this with you, but it's great to hear the story, and I think it is a really good sort of process that you went through, and how obviously how well it's sort of been adopted by the business, and also the value that you've seen in it is really great to hear. If we could just move over to the last couple of slides, Kat, I think we've just got a couple of notes around some other sessions we've got coming up. So we have got another webinar on the 9th of April at 2 o'clock UK time. That's going to be all around how to build a modern and AI-ready data platform, and that's using sort of. Today we've really focused on QDI and the sort of data integration part. This is going to be around the sort of full end-to-end offering within Qlik Talent Cloud. So there's a few bits in there around some of the AI components. There'll be a bit around the data integration, and then also, I believe, some around the sort of front-end AI-ready analytics as well. So, I mean, that's sort of really for an introduction to the whole platform. It'll be a live demo as well via one of our colleagues in Europe called Nick, and that'll be around data transfer process. It'd be a great opportunity as well for anybody to ask any questions and learn how it can sort of simplify a much wider sort of data architecture. I've just been passed a note that's actually 1 o'clock UK time, but we'll send out the link for that following it. And I think there's no other sort of questions or anything. So thank you ever so much for all of those who's joined us today and for your time. And as I say, this will be shared shortly for anyone who hasn't registered. And we look forward to speaking to you all soon. Cheers again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Take care.